I'll never forget watching a viral video where an American college student pointed at a map of Europe, confidently placed his finger on Germany, and said, "That's France, right?" The interviewer moved his finger 2 inches to the left, to actual France. "Oh," the student said, not embarrassed, just confused. "Then what's this one?" "Germany." "Huh, never heard of it." He'd never heard of Germany. Germany! One of the largest economies in the world, the country that started 2 world wars, the country that makes every car his dad probably dreams about owning. Never heard of it. That video has 15 million views, and in the comments, Europeans are losing their minds. Asians are questioning reality, and Americans? Americans are defending him. Geography isn't important, they say. We have GPS now. Today, I'm exposing the absolute crisis that is American geography knowledge, or more accurately, the complete lack of American geography knowledge. Because it's not just one viral video, it's not just one confused college kid, it's a systemic, nationwide, embarrassing disaster, and the rest of the world is watching, laughing, and honestly, a little concerned. Welcome to the social glitch. Let's talk about why Americans think Africa is a country and Australia is France. Buckle up. This is gonna hurt.
There's a whole genre of YouTube videos, Americans trying to identify countries on a map. And they're not just failing, they're failing spectacularly. Interviewer: can you point to Iraq on this map? American 1 points to Australia. American 2 points to Brazil. American 3 points to Greenland. American 4 squints at the map and says, "Is that the blue part?" The blue part, the ocean. One woman pointed to Canada and said, "Is that China?" Canada, the country directly above the United States, the country we share the world's longest border with. She thought it was China. Another guy pointed to Africa, the entire continent of Africa, and said, "That's Iraq, right?" But my favorite, my absolute favorite, is this exchange. Interviewer: can you name any country in Africa? College student: long pause. Africa? Africa is a continent. Can you name a country in Africa? Even longer pause. South Africa? Yes, that's one. Visible relief. Thank God. I wasn't sure if that was real or if I made it up. You weren't sure if South Africa was real. It gets worse with Europe, so much worse. Interviewer points to France. What country is this? American: is that England? Points to Spain. What about this one? Also England? Points to Italy. This one? Still England? This person thinks all of Europe is just various parts of England. Another video, different person: can you name any European country? London? London is a city. Oh, then Paris? Also a city. Europe? That's the continent. Visible frustration. This is hard. One guy, when asked to point to France, confidently pointed to Australia. Australia, the country on the opposite side of the planet, the island continent, the place with kangaroos. He thought that was France. When corrected, he said, "Well, they're both foreign, so..." They're both foreign, so what? They're both not America, therefore interchangeable? Asia is even worse because Americans genuinely can't tell Asian countries apart. Interviewer: point to China. American points to Russia. That's Russia. Isn't Russia in Asia? Part of it is, but you're pointing at the European part. There's a European part? Another exchange: can you name 3 Asian countries? China, Japan, and Asia. Asia is the continent. Right. Then Chinese? That's a language. Okay, I give up. 3 Asian countries. There are 48 countries in Asia. You need to name 3. One woman, when asked to point to North Korea, pointed to Thailand. She was off by about 3,000 miles. And when the interviewer corrected her, she said, "Well, it's all pretty much the same over there anyway." It's all the same? Thailand, North Korea? Same thing. But my absolute favorite moment in any of these videos is this. Interviewer:
Do you think geography is important? American. Not really. I mean, we have Google Maps now. But don't you want to know where countries are? Why? I'm not going to visit them. What if there's a war? Shrugs. Then the news will show a map. This is the attitude. Not, I should learn this, but why would I need to know this? And that, my friends, is the entire problem.
Here's a stat that will blow your mind. According to multiple surveys, about 65 to 70% of young Americans think Africa is a single country, not a continent with 54 distinct, diverse, culturally rich nations, just one big country called Africa. I've had this conversation more times than I can count. Me, I'm going to Kenya next month. American. Oh, cool, Africa. Me, Kenya in East Africa. American. Yeah, Africa, that's what I said. Me. Kenya is a specific country, like how Texas is a specific state. American. Wait, Africa isn't a country? And I watched their brain break in real time. You want to know why Americans think this? Hollywood. Every movie set in Africa just says Africa. No specific country, no city, just Africa. I'm going to Africa, they say in the movie. Africa is 11.7 million square miles. It's the second largest continent on Earth. It contains 54 countries, 1.4 billion people, and over 3,000 distinct ethnic groups. But in American movies, it's just one place, usually with lions and savannas, even though most of Africa doesn't look like that. It's like making a movie about someone going to Asia without specifying whether they're going to Japan, India, or Kazakhstan. Those are wildly different places, but Americans don't see it that way. A survey asked Americans to name 5 African countries. 30% couldn't name a single one, not one. Another 40% could only name Egypt in South Africa. That's it. 2 countries out of 54. When asked to name African countries, Americans said Africa, South Africa, correct, North Africa, not a country, Central Africa, also not a country, the Safari Place, definitely not a country, where Black Panther is from, fictional, Egypt, correct but hesitant, is Morocco in Africa? Yes, but the fact that it's a question. One person said Kenya? Is that made up? Another said Nigeria sounds fake. Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa. 230 million people, the largest economy in Africa. Sounds fake? Here's something that breaks American brains. The United States fits inside Africa 3 times, with room left over. China fits inside Africa. India fits inside Africa. Europe fits inside Africa. You can fit the USA, China, India, Japan, and most of Europe inside Africa. But on American maps, Africa looks smaller than North America. Why? Because American schools use the Mercator Projection, a map that distorts size to preserve shape. It makes countries near the equator look smaller, and countries near the poles look bigger. So Greenland looks massive when it's actually tiny. Russia looks enormous. It is big, but not that big. And Africa looks small when it's actually huge. American students grow up seeing this map every day. They internalize it. They think Africa is small. And then they're shocked when they learn the truth. Wait, Africa is big? Yes, very big. Bigger than America? 3 times bigger. Mind blown. Here's a stat that explains everything. Only 37% of Americans have a valid passport. 37%! Compare that to UK 76%, Canada 70%, Germany 90%, Australia 57%. Most Americans have never left the country, ever. They're born in America, they live in America, they die in America. They never experience another culture, another language, another way of life. And because they don't travel, they don't understand why geography matters.
I asked an American coworker why he'd never traveled abroad. "Why would I leave?" he said. "America has everything." "But don't you want to see other cultures?" "We have different cultures here. California is different from Texas. That's not the same as visiting another country." "Why not? They speak different, they eat different food." I didn't know how to explain that California and Texas are not as different as, say, Japan and Brazil. Another American told me, "I don't need a passport. Everything I need is here." And he genuinely meant it. He didn't see other countries as places worth visiting. They were just there, somewhere, doing their thing, but not relevant to his life. Americans love to use distance as an excuse. Europe is so far away. Okay, but you could go to Mexico. That's a 2-hour drive for millions of Americans. Mexico doesn't count. Why not? It's not really foreign. It's a different country, but it's close. So nearby countries don't count as foreign, but faraway countries are too far to visit. Convenient.
Travel is too expensive. A flight to Europe costs $400 to $800 round trip if you book in advance. Americans will spend $1,000 on a new iPhone without blinking. They'll spend $800 on Taylor Swift tickets, but $600 to see Rome? Too expensive. The truth isn't that they can't afford it, it's that they don't prioritize it. Because in American culture, international travel isn't valued. It's seen as luxury, as unnecessary, as something rich people do. In European culture, it's normal, expected, part of growing up. European students backpack through Asia. They study abroad. They take gap years. American students go to Florida for spring break and call it travel. Let's talk about the map on every classroom wall in America, the Mercator Projection. Created in 1569 by Gerardus Mercator, a Flemish cartographer. It was designed for sailors, for navigation. It preserves angles, which is great for ships, but it completely distorts size. And American schools have used this map for decades, still use it today. So American kids grow up thinking, Greenland is huge, it's not. Africa is small, it's not. Alaska is massive, it's big, but not that big. Antarctica is the largest continent, it's not even close. Here's what Americans think versus reality. Greenland looks almost as big as Africa. Reality? Africa is 14 times bigger. Alaska looks bigger than Mexico. Reality? Mexico is bigger than Alaska.
Scandinavia looks massive. Reality? India is bigger than all of Scandinavia combined. Russia looks absolutely enormous. It is big, but the map makes it look even bigger. The Mercator projection makes northern countries look bigger because they're farther from the equator. And guess what? Most powerful Western countries are in the north. So the map makes Western countries look bigger and more important, and developing countries near the equator look smaller. Is this intentional? Probably not originally, but it definitely has psychological effects. Other countries use different projections. The Gall-Peters projection shows actual size but distorts shape. The orthograph projection is more balanced. The Winkel-Triple projection is a compromise. But American schools? Nope, Mercator all the way. Because changing the map would mean admitting the old one was wrong. And America doesn't like admitting it's wrong. When Americans finally do travel to Europe, the geographic ignorance becomes painful. I worked at a hotel in Paris for a summer. The number of Americans who asked, "Can we take a day trip to London?" London is in a different country. Across water, you need a passport. But it's close, right? It's 340 miles away. So we can drive there after breakfast and be back for dinner? No, you cannot. One American family asked if they could visit Rome, Paris, and Amsterdam in one day. They're all in Europe, right? How far apart can they be? About 800 miles apart, each. They thought Europe was the size of Texas. Americans don't understand European geography because they think of Europe as one entity, like how they think of Africa as one country. Europe is just Europe, one place, with slightly different accents. They don't realize Norway and Greece are more different than Mexico and Canada. Portugal and Poland don't speak the same language. France and Finland have completely different cultures. You can't just pop over between countries. One American tourist in Amsterdam asked me, "Do you guys use the same money as France?" "Yes, the euro." "Wait, you use the same money as France?" "Yes, and Germany, and Italy, and Spain, and..." That's confusing. Why would different countries use the same money? Because we're in a union? Economic cooperation? Shared currency benefits? Weird.
How do I get to Berlin? Train? Train? Like a subway? No, a high-speed train. How long does that take? About 8 hours? 8 hours? Can't I just drive? You could, but it's 10 hours of driving. There's no faster way? You could fly. 1 hour. A whole hour just to get to Berlin? This person thought Berlin was maybe 30 minutes away. From Paris. Paris to Berlin is 550 miles. But in their head, all European cities are neighbors. Where is the bathroom? You know, where you go pee-pee. Non parlo inglese. I don't speak English. The bathroom. You know, where you go pee-pee. Makes peeing gesture. Italian person walks away. American to their friend, "Why don't they speak English here?" "We're in Italy." "I know, but don't most people speak English?" "Some do, but Italian is the main language." "That's so inconvenient." Inconvenient. That Italians speak Italian in Italy. Here's what American students learn in history/geography class. 8th grade, American history, Revolutionary War, Civil War, etc. 9th grade, more American history. 10th grade, world history. Spoiler, mostly American involvement in world events. 11th grade, American government. 12th grade, American economics. Notice a pattern? 5 years of school, 5 years of history classes. 4 of them are entirely about America, and the one world history class, it's mostly about how America saved the world in World War I and World War II. They learn about Pearl Harbor, D-Day, the atomic bomb, but they don't learn about the Ottoman Empire, the Mughal Empire, the Ming Dynasty, African kingdoms, or South American civilizations. They learn America won World War II, with some minor help from other countries. They learn about American independence. They don't learn that 60-plus countries gained independence in the 20th century. Everything is through an American lens. Many American schools don't even have geography as a separate subject. It's lumped into social studies, maybe 1 unit, maybe. Compare this to European schools. Students learn European geography, world geography, often study in multiple languages, take field trips to other countries. Asian schools, rigorous geography education, learn world capitals, major cities, trade routes, understand global economics and relationships. American schools? Here's a map of the 50 states. Memorize them. Test Friday. That's it. They learn the 50 states and maybe the 7 continents, which some students still can't name. The American education system is designed to create patriots, not global citizens. Students learn America is the greatest country, America saved the world twice, America invented everything important, other countries exist but aren't really relevant. They don't learn how other countries view America, America's role in global conflicts and coups, how interconnected the world is, and why understanding other cultures matters. So they graduate thinking America is the center of the world, other countries are inferior or irrelevant, geography doesn't matter because America is self-sufficient, speaking other languages is unnecessary, and then they go on street interviews and can't point to France. This isn't just funny viral videos. It has real consequences. Americans vote for politicians who make foreign policy decisions, and they have no idea where those countries are. They support wars in places they can't find on a map. They vote on trade deals with countries they've never heard of. They form opinions about immigration from countries they couldn't point to.
How can you have an informed opinion about Middle East policy if you can't locate Iraq, Iran, or Afghanistan? How can you understand immigration debates if you don't know where people are coming from? How can you vote on climate policy if you don't understand global geography? America's geographic ignorance is world famous, and not in a good way. Europeans mock it constantly. Asians are baffled by it. Australians make memes about it. It's become part of America's global brand. Americans are loud, friendly, confident, and have no idea where anything is. Here's the thing. Individual Americans aren't stupid. The system failed them. They were taught that geography doesn't matter, that America is all that matters, that the rest of the world is just background noise. So when a college student points to Germany and says, "Never heard of it," I don't blame him. I blame the education system that never taught him. I blame the culture that doesn't value global awareness. I blame the media that covers international news as if it's happening on another planet. He's not dumb. He's a product of a system designed to keep Americans focused inward. American geographic illiteracy is embarrassing? Yes. Funny? Absolutely. Dangerous? Also yes. Because in a globalized world, you can't afford to not know where things are. You can't afford to think Africa is a country. You can't afford to confuse Australia with France. You can't afford to believe America is the only place that matters. American schools need to teach actual world geography, use maps that show accurate sizes, expose students to other cultures, and stop making everything about America. American culture needs to value international travel, learn other languages, consume international media, and stop thinking America is the center of everything. To my American viewers, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm trying to wake you up. The world is big, really big, way bigger than you think. And it's not all about America. Buy a passport, book a flight, visit somewhere that makes you uncomfortable. Learn a language, watch foreign films, read international news, because the rest of the world knows where you are. Maybe it's time you learned where they are. Drop a comment. What's the worst geography fail you've witnessed? Americans, can you name 10 countries in Africa? Try it. Europeans? Asians? What American geography fail shocked you most? Subscribe to The Social Glitch for more uncomfortable truths about the world we live in. Thanks for watching. Now go look at a map, a real one, and maybe learn where Germany is, just in case.